It's the real Kyper and Bourne show. This is the Leaf edition. We are live on Sportsnet 590, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus from 4 to 6. Welcome aboard. Nick Kypreos and two guys who treat me like an all-star. Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee.
You're dressed like the all-star of the group again. What's happening? What's going on?
Just had to have an appearance today at Mercedes-Benz Queensway.
Oh, the Mercedes-Benz at Queensway.
Yes.
I've heard that's a beautiful facility.
I met the CEO of North America today.
That's a big title.
I said, any chance we can get something used for my boy Sammy McKee? Yeah. And he laughed.
He did, eh?
Yeah.
Oh.
I wouldn't want to.
Baby
Yes.
I wouldn't want to replace my dented Toyota Corolla.
We'll work on that.
I love that car.
We'll work on that. So we're glad everybody's aboard. Derek Brandeo, Jen Rolnick also along for the ride here as we get set for the Toronto Maple Leafs and Arizona Coyotes, a game that JB once again will find us covering the game for Sportsnet Ontario.
Yeah, so that's at 7 o'clock, right? Can't wait. It's gonna be
10.
what? Tonight?
Yeah.
10?
10.
You guys
Are you okay?
That's
you guys are doing the
devastating.
game.
You want me to get Sammy to cover for you?
10 p.m. Boy, that's pushing it. But yes, I
I'm
am
thrilled.
very much looking forward to the game. Chance for the Leafs to go 5-0 without Morgan Riley. Auston to get 50 in his home state. Matthew Nyes goes back to Arizona. A lot of stories tonight, Kev.
And if you're Morgan Riley,
need
just
one
lose. 4-1 will make me feel better coming back against
For sure.
the Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah, just have like Rafai or someone blow a wheel and give up a goal.
Yeah.
Like just someone help me out a little bit. It's getting a little uncomfortable.
But 5-0,
Don't want to go 5-0.
come on. You okay with that?
Say we're doing okay.
Now,
A
what?
bit of a heater.
I see in my trusted notes that you put together, Sammy, that the Leafs record against Coyotes is not very good.
Yeah, they've lost 4 straight to them.
4 straight.
Yeah.
That's not just at in Arizona.
No, they've
That's-
lost 4 straight. The Maple Leafs goalies in those 4 games were Peter Mrazek, Eric Shalgren, and Matthew Murray.
Well, it's not good.
So they haven't had. So Samsonov tonight, we assume, will get another crack at it, you
We
think?
do, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, and lots of interesting storylines, that being one of them, that they've been, had their lunch money stolen by the Coyotes. Karel Vejmelka.
Yep.
He'll start in the net tonight for the Coyotes. He's 3-0-0 against Leafs, the 943. So he has basically been the difference in those games.
And I think,
No, you go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, and a chance, I think, for the Leafs to look at some players on a team that's going in the wrong direction that they could think about
Yes.
heading towards March 8th. I don't know how much it would actually happen, but, a guy like Matt Dumba, guy that you guys mentioned on the broadcast the other day, and Lawson Crouse, which would cost you all your finest meats and cheeses. But there's definitely some guys on that team that you look at that could,
Kerfoot.
oh my God.
We are talking to the GM of the Arizona Coyotes later this hour. Bill Armstrong is going to join us, so that's exciting. We get to ask some questions about that.
Yeah. And this is a team, for the most part, that showed well for the first 35, 40 games.
Very.
Until they lost 10 in a row, they were playing pretty well.
Yeah.
Honestly, they were in the
Sounds
playoffs.
sarcastic.
I know,
That is
but
true.
they were in a playoff picture until they lost 10 matches.
And they actually had some solid goaltending as well.
Mhm.
And it just seems that's gone completely south on a...
It just makes all the difference in this league, doesn't it?
Yeah. Now you got homegrown Auston Matthews coming in there licking his chops.
To the mullet. Fun stat tonight, and I don't know if you find this fun or interesting, but I sure do. The Maple Leafs have not been shut out since November of 2021. With a goal tonight, they'd be the 11th team in NHL history and the first in more than 30 years to go 200 straight games without being shut out. That's from Hockey Reference. Our friend Jake B. Leafs shared that.
Oh, you just jinxed him.
30 years
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
since someone's gone 200 games without getting shut out.
Do you know who the next closest team is?
I'd love to know.
It's the Arizona Coyotes.
No.
Yeah, I think with 52.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
They've really, it's an incredible streak. But, I
Lapping
mean,
the
when
field.
you pay that much money for 4 guys who do it that well.
Between 4 of them, someone should get one
of them
most
should,
nights.
yeah, like you feel like one of them's going to get one. So
The most telling of that comment lies on Auston Matthews, who has scored an NHL high 25.4% of all Maple Leaf goals this season. Like, that's just
That's too many.
crazy.
Yeah, like it's awesome, but I recognize that's too high a number, right?
It's ridiculous.
No player has scored more than a quarter of his team's goals in a season since Stamkos did it over 10 years ago, 2012.
That to me is like, what is the message of every team playing the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first 30 seconds of their team meeting?
They're just going to write a 3 and a 4 on the board and circle it and go, I have a defensive plan.
Like, shut this guy down,
We've got a
and
chance.
we win the game.
can I, play devil's advocate here?
I think you're going to.
I'm about to. I mean, it'd be worse if they had scored 100 goals, and he just scores a lot more goals than anybody else. That's why he's, it's just like he is the man. Like, he's the guy that scores the most goals. I think he just, by sheer number of him, that's put up the percentage. It's not like it's just because the rest of the team sucks. It's because he scores so much.
Where are the
No,
goals?
there's part of it that
Well,
they
he's got
suck,
49.
Sammy.
He's got 49.
They do.
But
They
he's
do.
got 49 goals. It's not
Hey,
March yet.
There is a part where we have said there's a lot of other guys around him that suck.
Yeah.
Don't take that off the table.
There are clearly guys around him that suck. But in years past, there have also been guys that talked about this in the morning show today, but we're talking about the exact same season again. It's it looked a little different for a while there, and it was all happening differently. But the bottom 6 is underperforming. They've had injuries in the D-core. The top guys are carrying them. It's the exact same thing, but it's just the Matthews production has just gone up a little bit. That's the only difference.
Yeah, and I get it, and I'm not stupid enough to suggest, hey, don't do it as much,
Right.
Because it is what it is. The bigger question is this the game plan to win in the playoffs moving forward? Do you really think for 1 second that the Leafs could go to round 2 or 3 or a Stanley Cup final?
Just saying score, Austin, score.
Just continuing with Auston picking up 25% of the offense. Do you really believe that?
I would have to be a huge idiot to sit here and say it works.
I'm going to give everyone a sneak peek to tonight's broadcast.
Oh.
And not to do the content so you and I won't weigh in. But one of the burning questions is going to be about who past the core 4 guys is going to score the most goals for the Leafs this year. Good luck answering that question.
Bobby McMahon's.
McMahon's your answer?
Yes.
He has nudged himself into
Based on his last week and a half.
Bobby McMahon, though, that's where we're at. He's going to score the next most on the team.
Jan Krug.
Yeah, I guess Jaron Crouse.
There's a vote.
Yeah. I don't know why you guys are sitting here and looking
Yelling
at
at
me.
you?
No, this is we're all surprised by this. This is the whole thing.
No, but we are surprised because they got offense in the offseason. He got Bertuzzi and Domi and Klingberg.
Yeah, but when those guys don't play and they haven't been given any role where it's like, we trust you, you're the guy, it's just the same thing. It's the same season.
It's
and
the same
you've turned Bertuzzi and Max Domi into Zach Aston Reese and Pierre Engvall, where they don't play and they don't score. It's the same thing.
Whose fault is that? Where does that? Where does that? Is that on the players or is that on Sheldon? Is that on
You
what?
know that answer. You know the answer. It's the coach. Of course, it's the coach. If you don't use the guys and give them opportunity, and they kind of get
some
relegated
nights,
to
though,
Team B.
Yeah. I believe ultimately you got to convince the coach to find different ways to squeeze more out of the lineup. But there's also a part of me that says on some nights, man, I got to go to my horses right now. And the question is when does it finally catch up to you? Game 55, 65, 75, or in the first round?
83.
83.
I thought Auston and Mitch were effective against Tampa Bay in the first round last year. Playing all the
really
minutes they did, I thought they were very good.
Main reason they got by Tampa was those two guys and Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
And they played a lot last year. And so, you do have belief that it's sustainable to a point, but they did hit a wall.
In other words, you're telling me that Tampa did a crappy job of checking Marner and Matthews, and Florida nailed it.
Well, it depends. Or you could take the positive angle and say Marner and Matthews, beat Tampa's good checking, which, they're pretty good offensive players.
You could say that Michael Bunting took out one of their top pair of guys in the first, and they didn't have a whole lot
Ding.
I think that series, we look back on it with the Leafs winning, they were the far and away the second best team in that series for most of it, and we can't relitigate it because they were the better team in the other series where they lost. But go ahead.
This just goes back to my earlier point for Florida in the second round. Just find ways to get in their face. They didn't score. Either one of them didn't score in the second round, if I'm not mistaken. And you have an easy victory against this hockey club.
Well, I mean, anytime you're one-dimensional, you're at risk of having that dimension taken away. That's...
I feel like we had a lot of these exact same conversations before the trade deadline last year where they completely remade the bottom half of the lineup.
Yeah.
It's
but that
very
pivots
similar.
to, do you think that can or will happen again? I've got an article today on sportsnet.ca, the thesis of which is basically, here's the top 5 teams in the NHL. They're not nearly as good as they've been in previous years. This is only the second or third time in the last 20 years the best team in the NHL is below a 700 winning percentage. The door is open, for a team, and which is, I make the case for teams like Toronto, Edmonton, Winnipeg, adding and getting aggressive here, because really, if you separate yourself in the pack at all, the door's open.
Except it's not an equal playing field, because some teams are now starting in a position where the Leafs were 3 or 4 years ago, where they have all these assets and they can burn and add, and the Leafs cannot go toe-to-toe with some teams on going out there and being aggressive based on the fact that you have way more bullets than I do.
Definitely, yeah. That's the cost of the past 4 years of going all in. But it's foolish to not go all in.
Yeah.
And tell you're a bad team and you're losing and you're doing the other going the other direction. You got to pick a direction.
We had Gord Stellick on the other day, and we kind of got into it. And believe me, I'm with you here. If I'm Brendan Shanahan and Brad Treliving, and I know the history of this organization the last 3-4 years, I can't look my players in the eye and say, we got to be careful with our first rounder, and there's next year and the year after. I'm like all in. But you're really talking about another level of depletion here.
Yeah, pal, we're going to be 2 hours of an NHL show and not 1 hour Leafs, 1 hour NHL in about 3 years when they're just completely tanking it, not trying to win.
I actually sort of agree with Gord in the premises that is it? But
I want to argue that.
But from a fan's perspective, I'm a fan. I'm like, oh boy, maybe this isn't the year. But you talk about Dubas and Sid having a conversation. Is Brad going to have a conversation with these 4 guys in the team that want to win every year? And he's going to be like, hey, we're not trading the first this year because this guy may be good for us in 4 years.
Yeah,
it's not even a start. It's not a conversation you can even begin to have.
No,
you have to trade.
And I don't agree with Gord at all here. And we all know, much respect and all that to Gordon. He knows what he's talking about with hockey. But I disagree here because
we do not agree.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do if you don't trade for assets to get better this year? You're going to be one of the teams that's around 10th best and loses in the first round, and then you have some assets, and again next year you're middle of the pack. This is a year where there's a chance. And I look at analytics and what they've done to other sports. The NFL, nobody went for it on 4th down for years, right? And now it's like, God, if you're 4th and 2 or anywhere at midfield, it makes sense to try to win the game by going for it, getting aggressive. That's all this is. It makes sense now to push in when there's a chance to win, because soon there won't be a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Just in terms of looking at the East and going, okay, outside of Florida, I think we got just as good of a chance as anyone in this conference.
Yeah.
No one scares me, with the exception of Florida being
team you have to play in
deeper.
the first round.
Maybe not.
They're not going to play Florida in the first
You
round.
don't think?
Florida will be jumping into a wild card.
Yeah,
Okay.
Florida's going to win the division. They're in first right now.
Yes.
Same games as the Bruins. They're ahead of them.
Yeah, so you're not facing Florida.
Right.
And outside of that, I'll go a step further on how I'm buying into Leafs All In. There's nothing off the table for me. You want to have a conversation on Cowan? I'm having a conversation on Cowan.
Wow.
Okay.
See, that's the one where I'm like, he's the guy that's going to kill you when he scores 120 points for
Maybe
the next 10 years.
Listen, I've done the junior to the pro thing.
Yeah.
There's
guarantee.
there's no guarantees. Nick Robertson,
Yeah.
50 goal scorer with the
Yeah,
Pete's.
55. Yeah.
55.
He's a different, like, the thing is,
There's no
Easton-
guarantees, Sammy.
I know, but Easton Cowan is a touchy one because he's exactly what they've, like, the idea of what he can become
Yes.
is, Nick Robertson is not, what he become was not like this, what McCowan could become.
Scrappy, passionate guy.
Unless you bring back someone that can kind of paint a picture of getting Cowan advanced here because of your window. You need to turn Cowan into something that can help you win now and maybe have a similar look to him. So, Arizona tonight, I go knock on Bill Armstrong, the general manager's door, and I say, how do we turn Cowan possibly into Lawson Crouse?
You know,
Are
the
you having
Crouse,
that conversation?
here's why I am having that
Oh,
conversation.
like, you're
the
looking at me
window
like
is
I'm
now, to your point, which is very well taken. The salary is very manageable, $4.3 million, and it's this playoff run plus 3 more.
3
He's got
more.
4 years of
That's-
contract. He's 26.
That's what you're doing. You're giving him a Lawson Crouse that sets back his program for Cowan to be ready when Arizona's ready.
He's got 20 goals in 54 games.
You got to treat the Leafs like they're ready now, even though we can pick apart some holes here
God,
on the
he
blue line.
plays left wing too. Wouldn't that knock everyone into their place?
I absolutely am, like, I think it's a pretty controversial opinion to say that, but, like, I don't disagree that I would absolutely trade him for a big help. But the question I would say is, you want to spend that chip on the forward core as opposed to the blue line? Because if you're spending that chip, you look at this D core and it's like, yeah, the Leafs forwards.
No. It's not one or the other.
It's part of what you're doing after
I'm-
you trade your first for D.
I'm going to get another future first rounder, and
But this is what I'm
it just
talking
doesn't
about.
stop. I'm like, you're all in.
Yes.
You are all in on the next 2 years here, and Crouse can help you win this year and next year, as we know that he's not a UFA. He's not Nick Foligno or Ryan
And
O'Reilly.
he's in the
ready
prime
to
of his career.
They're not flying away anytime soon.
Yeah, someone like Chikrin or
Yeah.
someone like, on the back end,
just-
the version of that where you have another year.
Punt it down the road.
They're going to be bad. They're going to be bad at some point, and that's just, the salary cap is the way it is, and their window happened to coincide with this crappy cap window, and tough beans, but,
God, that's one that, though. It's guys, Strathroy, Ontario, drafted
Cowan?
by the Leafs, plays for the Knights.
Yeah.
Absolute stud. He's legitimately the best player in the OHL
He
right now.
will be.
No, he, like, right
he'll
now.
He'll be really
he
good.
works. Yeah.
3 or
Ugh.
4 years from now,
But,
Sammy.
but that's the
I
thing.
know, and I'm
He's
just-
not going to win the Calder next year. I mean, I don't know.
no.
Oh,
Unlike,
just sitting
No,
here.
we don't need. It's
You mean
he's still got
like-
another year of junior eligibility here, right? You can't even send him to the
so like,
Marlies.
what year is he a 30 goal scorer in the NHL? It's probably 3 years from now.
Like if you've got a team that's
And
supposed
I don't
to,
know, Sam. You watch junior. I don't.
listen,
Maybe he's a 50 goal scorer
he's-
years. I don't know.
No, he's. I don't know
Sammy,
if he's
let it go,
really
bud.
good.
Let it go.
And
Let it go.
the thing is, I'm coming from a fan's perspective because I would happily move anybody. There's not one person in the organization that I would be like, don't trade them. Like any prospect, anyone. Truly. Other than the big four, I guess, or Tavares. Someone would take Tavares, sure. But like, I think when people hear the name Cowan, they're going to be like, oh, no. But they shouldn't be like that because it's like when he's contributing, but it's hard because at least we've had so few top banger prospects because they've had so few first round picks that when they finally get one and they seems like they hit on one and then you trade that one too, like I can picture the trepidation from Leaf fans, but I'm with you. I'm doing it.
Trepidation. What does that mean?
Trepidation?
Did you see the Connor Bedard clip?
No.
Oh, I sent it to you.
Yeah,
did he
said
say
it's on our
trepidation?
WhatsApp.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
the reporter asked him if he had any trepidation getting back in the game, and he was like, "I have no idea what
We
that word
need
means."
Derek Brandeo to find it for us.
Yeah, no
'Cause I love it.
trepidation. Yeah, I wouldn't. I think you just do it. I really do. And you plug your nose hard and you try to win a Stanley Cup.
There's a lot of stories in NHL history of GMs not wanting to give up player X to get this guy, and then you look back at who player X was. I know, God, there was a recent one where the Flames could have had a player, a star, and they didn't want to give up Velimaki. Velimaki was their big star that they were like, we don't, this is our guy. He's an unmovable. He's untouchable. Can't have untouchable prospects. There's just never a guarantee they become what you want them to become.
Especially with windows now and money still being an issue. Number one reason why we still haven't seen anything of significance in a trade is because there's still too much money that needs to be burned off of contracts moving forward. All right.
Oh, we have Bedard already. Look at Derek Brandale.
All right, we were talking
Found
about
and
it.
clipped.
Let's go to Connor Bedard on a media question.
Did you have any trepidation out there about taking a hit or anything like that today?
I have no clue what that word.
I have no clue.
Just not even going to pretend to understand
Derek,
what
we're
you're
gonna
talking about.
we're gonna bank that in the archives right there.
I don't know.
All right,
That's
so
a tough one.
The boys are in Arizona.
No, it's him being Connor Bedard. I love it that he would say that.
I'm sure Connor Bedard was just pouring over the books at whatever elementary school and whatever high school he
Knew
was
at
at.
14 he was going to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
So the boys are in Arizona. Sheldon Keefe a little grumpy today.
So, yeah, like,
Why?
'Cause
Why is he grumpy?
well, listen
Sammy
to this
Won
clip.
4 in a row.
Listen to this clip. This is all. I'll tee it up for you. The question basically was, where's my clip sheet? I don't know. Anyways, the first question, basically told him, he's like, are you excited? A lot of juice, extra juice playing with all the Arizona ties or whatever. Are you excited about this game? And this was his answer.
It does. That hasn't really manifested to positive things on the ice in the past. But, yeah, certainly it's great to be here for myself. I have personal connections here. As you say, there's a number of others in our organization, obviously, that have much deeper connections. And it's beautiful here. It's great. It was a great day yesterday. Sun shining. So yeah, it's great to be here. And even coming into this building is a nice change. It's different. It's unique to the NHL, obviously, but it's also a terrific building. They did an unbelievable job putting this together.
What's the key to beating someone?
Okay, I got so many things out of that. I got Sheldon the coach, Sheldon the weatherman, Sheldon the marketer.
Yep. Sheldon the architecture major.
He was all over the map on that.
But just as like,
What was the final point?
grumpiness, though. No grumpiness.
No.
Just
You didn't sense grumpiness?
Yeah, no, I did sense it.
Okay.
really.
Yeah, on the fact that every time we come in here, we lose.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's definitely making the observation that like it
So is
being
that-
cool doesn't mean it
like,
helps us. But
Where's
it's cool.
Where's like where do you think the biggest area that he thinks is that the guys are out there having a good time, or Austin's coming in and turning it into a
Hockey
hometown
secondary.
distraction?
Well,
How many guys played golf yesterday?
judging by the color of Matthews' nose, they were on the course yesterday. They were enjoying
But,
themselves.
what's wrong with that?
And who wouldn't do it?
Right.
It's a day off in Zona. I would be on the course the entire day.
But
Probably
it's
a couple
real
cocktails.
easy to look past the Coyotes and just be like, finally, in the middle of winter, we get to go away, going away somewhere warm to golf. Doesn't that sound nice, Kyper?
Scottsdale.
Oh, it sounds lovely.
I adore Scottsdale.
Oh,
Oh,
great.
my God. It's
Great.
the
They
best.
should put a hockey team there.
What is wrong with them?
What's wrong with us?
Just
Why are we
no,
there right now?
The Coyotes, the organization, just
Many things.
put the team in Scottsdale, build a rink, and you've got gold.
Drop it on the old tortilla factory right downtown there.
And we will never hear about Arizona being a market that can't work for
Yeah.
the NHL.
For sure.
It's that simple, is it not?
Apparently.
That and $1.5 billion
Yeah,
dollars for a rink
Just
and
a bill.
I mean, we got a break here soon, but can you just fantasize with me about being an NHLer living in Arizona, showing up to the rink in flops,
I read
going
a
to
thing
play
today.
golf?
Jason Zucker was
Yeah.
like, Zucker wants to be a Coyote long term. And
Yeah.
I was like, I bet he does.
I bet you Keller with his +1 handicap doesn't want to leave Arizona too.
well, we'll get
Playing with John Rahm every day.
we'll get a chance to ask Bill Armstrong, general manager of Arizona Coyotes, if that's the case. Everybody comes in, golfs, and leaves 2 points on the table, because that hasn't been the secret to a winning recipe as of the last, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We'll see if that changes with the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight in action against them. All right, we're taking a break.
Yeah, let's hit the break.
And when we return, Bill Armstrong on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Let's welcome in General Manager of the Arizona Coyotes, Bill Armstrong. Bill, thanks for joining us. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. How you boys doing today?
We're good. We're psyched. JB and I are on the game tonight against your Arizona Coyotes. So there are games, and then there's a game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. No better way for your team to get a little extra attention than beating the Leafs, right?
Yeah, it'll be a good matchup tonight. We've played really well. We came out of the gates pretty good against Colorado. Our last game we played a real good game too. So we're in the thick of things. I think in the process of going through the rebuild, there are spotty patches. We're probably in one right now, but I like the way that we play, and we're continuing to play hard and battle through it.
That's great. Yeah. So, you mentioned sort of continuing the rebuild process. What does that process look like for you guys? You have a number of pieces now I'm sure you're happy with and content to see as a part of the future. What do you sort of have laid out as a vision for this Coyotes club?
Well, that's a great question. It's for us, we're kind of right where we kind of expected we would be. We'd be in a place where our fans get to come and watch, and they can see a little bit of the goodness that we've drafted, and that's the Logan Coolies and the Gunthers and the Mosers and some of the other guys that we've acquired, like the Jack McBains and the Connor Ingrams. So you can see a little bit of the goodness coming through, but it's not consistent probably every single night that we play. But I think our fans get a look at what's coming, and I think they're very excited to know in the pipeline also the Lamoureux and the Geekies of the world and the Simashevs and Boots. So there's a good pipeline of young talent that's coming in. It's not there every single night. That's due to being young. I believe we're like the second youngest team in the National Hockey League. So there are nights where, it gets a little scary out there, but there are nights too when you catch us on a good night, we can play with the best of them.
So when you look at the last 10 games, and obviously it doesn't look good, but in terms of where you are in your development and where you're happy with, but you just need more seasoning, i.e. the blue line, i.e. in net, where is your focus right now on what you have to wait for to improve on?
Well, it's, with us, if you look at the last 10 games, we're an organization that doesn't like to make excuses. But if you look at the competition that we've played, I'm not sure if we spread out those 10 games, where their record would be that much better. So, we've played some really tough competition. It's been good for this group. It's been a good challenge. I think our biggest, concern as we're building is looking for, a number one defenseman. Obviously, that is someone, that can't hurt to have. And anytime you're trying to go through the rebuild, you're looking at a number one goaltender, a number one defenseman, or a number one center, and a goal scorer winger. You're always trying to get one of those pieces that fit in. If you look at any team, whether it's Vegas or it's the Tampa Bay Lightning, you've got to have those core pieces that are elite to move on and play for a championship. So I think when we're going through the rebuild process and you look at the draft, you're always looking for one of them.
In that process, so you guys obviously are taking stock of where you're at in the standings. We do a Leaf show, so we're always looking around the league and be like, what team might be sellers at the deadline? We're not sure about the Coyotes necessarily, but do you see yourself being active at the deadline? I know you have about 53,000 draft picks coming up, but what do you see for your activity level over the next few weeks?
Yeah, I mean that'll work itself out, as we move down the stretch here. We've built some players into our lineup in the free agency process that allow us to if it's not going our way, to acquire assets with those players. So I think that's it's a nice bonus for us to have. I think with our team, our core is slowly getting there. There's some fringe players that we've signed, that we could move and have the ability to create more assets. And people always ask us, with those 500 million draft picks you have, where you to draft all of them. And the answer is probably not, but you can always use them as currency to buy players like we did with Jersey and Jack McBain.
Mm-hmm. So with these consecutive losses, there's no question teams probably call you up a lot quicker now and try to feel you out. So when, say, Brad Treliving calls you and offers you a 4th-round pick for Lawson Crouse, when does it go from a 4th-round pick to something more serious? Does that just have to play out towards March 8th?
Yeah, I think it was a 7th-round pick. Just to be accurate with that. Yeah, there's never any. It's just down to the deadline. It always is. When there's a deadline, you get something. It's no different than arbitration. There's a deadline to get it done. And everybody, plays the game until that time and point. So for us, we'll play that game right down to the wire too. So. We've done it before where we've kept guys because we didn't get the deal we wanted, and we're kind of stingy like that, and we get a lot of draft picks, so we can kind of go down that route too. But we've been able to work out. I think we've done the most trades with any other club in probably the last 5 years. So normally we can find deals, and for us, we use comparable deals that have been done before. I think probably that's the fairest way as a GM to get the best deal and get it done as quick as you can. Just compare your player to a trade that's happened over the last 5 years and usually gets it done. But sometimes teams are willing to pay that still. So there's 30 seconds left on the clock.
Fair enough. Like you mentioned all the picks you guys have, and you've been a competitive hockey team this year. You're sitting in a great place on the ice. We appreciate you coming on the show, and so I'd hate to even ask, but how annoying is all this off-the-ice stuff for you guys? Does it affect your day-to-day business when, Toronto Maple Leafs fans are trying to move the Coyotes to Utah already, and how much does that affect your daily business?
In every market and has its different challenges, So, you're in the Toronto market, as a GM, there's 1,000 different reporters throwing rocks through your windows every day. Here that's not like that. It's a different quality of life. It's a different way. What we have is noise. That everybody around us, kind of digs up about the arena and gives it to us. And I think, hey, we're moving. And listen, let's be honest. Our players are human. They buy houses with their wives. And I'm sure, if everybody's been down to Arizona, nobody wants to leave Arizona. It's probably one of the most beautiful places, So, everybody's kind of, attached here and wants to see it work out and wants to see that next step happen. And as a GM, I'll be honest with you, if you build an elite facility down here, with 19,000 people, and it's in a good place with an elite training facility with a couple rinks, you're one of the 10 teams in the National Hockey League with the taxes, with the quality of life. There's no traffic. Get off the plane. You're home in 10 minutes. You're at your practice rink in 10 minutes. It's a game changer. And you become one of the top 10 teams automatically because of the free agencies that people you can attract. And let's be honest, you hear all the talk about, this and that about Arizona. We're ranked the number one place to go by all the wives in the NHL. There's no snowsuits, and it does matter when you're attracting the top free agents. So we can become that. It's just in the process that, the rink has to be worked out. And like I tell everybody down here, I build teams. I don't build rinks. So, we're hoping that we can take another step, and our ownership is pushing it for a new piece of land. So, hopefully that can come to fruition one day, and we can become one of the top 10 franchises in the National Hockey League.
Not to give away, state secrets here, but are you confident that this can be resolved fairly soon?
That's a great question. The NHL wants it to happen. Everybody wants it to happen. So I want to believe the goodness that it's going to get done here, and it's going to take that next step because it is an incredible place to play hockey. And your fans will see that tonight. I'm sure the Leaf Nation will be packed in there too to watch us play. And it's a great place in the desert for hockey. They've added Division I hockey down here, American League hockey everywhere down here. It's becoming a place to watch hockey, and it's a great thing. And there's more fans here now than there ever has been. And we've just got to get the arena situation resolved. And if we can do that, this is going to be a strong franchise in the National Hockey League.
In the interim, how has the mullet experience been, the Mullet Arena experience been? I know it's not ideal for you guys, but it is like it's kind of a unique kind of. Sheldon Keefe said in his interview today, it's kind of cool to be somewhere different.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it's unbelievable. But I will tell you, we've been going through a stretch where we haven't been successful in win, and the fans are so close to me. It's almost like Harold Ballard's box.
The bunker.
They're that close to you. So when they're not happy, they can really have that one-on-one personal time with you, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's okay when we won the last 5 games and I'm going through the crowd high-fiving everybody.
Yeah.
Bill, when we look at your lineup, though, we do sense that you're a lot closer. But we also saw Pierre Dorion, before he left Ottawa, talking about their build being over and we're ready to compete now, and that hasn't been the case. Would you be a little weary of saying that as early as next year this team should make the playoffs?
Yeah, it is. Listen, I went through it with the St. Louis Blues. Look how long our rebuild took. The teams that sometimes hit the lottery, like Pittsburgh's, they flipped it in like 5 years. But most times, with the Avalanche, they went through the process almost like a double rebuild. The Blues went on forever. I think it was close to 14 years. Washington was like 10 years. It's not an easy fix. So to say, hey, listen, I'm going to wipe my hands here. The rebuild's over. We're going. That's not true. You can run into a host of injuries. We could be picking one again next year. I mean, that's happened to teams that are in it this year where everybody thinks they're going to flip the switch and a few injuries and a goaltender goes down. So the rebuild, it takes a lot longer than people think. And you have to leave some room for error. But I like we've added the pieces that where we are right now is where we drew it up on paper. And if we can keep making that progress with good drafting, and our scouts have done a great job so far. Ryan Jankowski and Darryl Plandowski have done an amazing job, and we're on track to where we're supposed to be. But I would not put my hands up and say, hey, we're gonna make this next year. There's still more work to be done.
So if fans here haven't watched your team all that closely, who are the guys who maybe deserve a little bit more national attention than they've gotten this year? Michelli comes to mind for me as a guy who's probably, an underrated name. Is that fair to say? And is there anyone else to add to that list?
Well, the fans are going to notice tonight the speed of Logan Cooley. He's going to catch your attention, and Dylan Gunther, his right winger, is a hell of a player, and those two guys have got some chemistry lately together. They're two really, really young players. And Keller on the left side of them, they're going to stand out for you tonight at times. And that's kind of the hope when you come. Crouse, Lawson Crouse has been a heck of a player with Bukestad and Michelli, and that's kind of anchored our second line. And, there's some unsung heroes. Matt Dumba, he's done a nice job as a leader down there for us, and he plays against the big boys every night, and he's not afraid to take runs at guys, and we love that about him. He keeps us competitive and with a little bit of fire. So there's a lot of goodness in the desert. Obviously, it still has a lot of maturing to go. There's a patient process, but there's good signs so far, and we look forward to adding some more players next year.
Hey, Bill, have you ever heard of the product Flex Seal?
Yes.
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 That's Alex Kerfoot.
That was the nickname here. Any line you had a problem with, you could put him on and he patch the hole.
What do you think?
Flex Seal.
He is. I agree.
Stop Leafs fans.
I love that. He has been so good for us in the desert. Center, left wing, right wing, kill penalties, the bumper on the power play. Like this guy has been so good for us. And we're young, and in leadership, he's pretty calm. We were in a meeting the other day, and some of his words were unbelievable on how he just talked and calmed the group. And he's been such a great part of our team this year. We're very fortunate to have him, and he's found the net, and he's been a very effective player. Probably one of the best penalty killers I've seen up front, just ragging the puck at times.
We'll get him to send some Flex Seal up here. Our show leaks all the time, Bill. Really appreciate your time. Good luck tonight. Good luck the rest of the season. Good luck moving into trade deadline day.
You got it. Thanks, guys, for having me on. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Bill Armstrong, general manager of the Arizona Coyotes. What did you get out of that?
he took the opportunity to build up Matt Dumba, who is available to deadline.
Yeah,
I thought
he's
that was
going to go for sure.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
savvy.
someone will take a chance on him. I don't know how well he's playing.
Who,
but,
Dumba?
yeah.
Yeah. I think he's making the point. He plays against the
Yeah.
big guys all the time. He'll take runs at them.
Yeah. Now, if you have the choice of making no changes at all or adding Matt Dumba to the Toronto Maple Leafs, you're taking Dumba all day long?
Oh, my God, yes.
Okay.
He makes 3.9. He plays right D. He hits people. That's a lot of check boxes
Okay.
for me.
All right.
Liljegren for him.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I would do that. I just don't think they would.
I think they would.
Well, you
Well, we
wouldn't?
should have asked him.
Just hold on for a second.
No.
I understand that Liljegren is not having a great year and he's hurting a little bit. But how old's Liljegren and how old's
know.
Dumba and what's Dumba got left
23,
on his
29,
contract?
1 year.
And Liljegren's got
Team controlled.
team controlled, so not that quick. I would throw the lily pad away.
I mean, if you're talking about turning future help from a guy into current help, this to me is a pretty quick way to do it. But yeah, I don't know that they would be interested in that.
Yeah, he confirmed Arizona nice.
Yeah, it was really quite the sales pitch for Arizona. I didn't get the chance to ask him, will there be water in the state in 10 years?
Well, I did ask him how confident he was, and there was a bit of a pause there, which
Yes.
when you I'm no expert.
No, but he didn't immediately go, oh, it's happening.
But there was one of those where he sounded a little,
Political. He knew it was,
Yeah, well, listen, he doesn't sound overly optimistic if we kind of read between the lines.
Yeah.
Of course, he's got hope like everybody else has had the last 20 years in the state of Arizona for hockey.
There's
But
a really nice twist on it. Well, the NHL wants it to happen. And they do, very much, as does
you
everyone there.
think?
Yeah.
Like Gary has not let go of this thing for how many years now?
Yeah. I build
And-
teams,
and-
I don't build ranks. Is a good
And
one.
Armstrong is not wrong in terms of if you just put a nice rink with a couple of pads and a facility in the right place, it's a top 10.
Like, I hope, yeah,
Market.
for sure. I hope no one thought I was being sarcastic or Bill was being sarcastic when talking about it's the number one place wives want to go. Like, if you're picking a city to move to and you say to your wife, what about Arizona? It's cheap and warm and, like it's an easy sales pitch. It's instead of being in the winter somewhere, right? Think you sell that to your wife, little
Yeah.
winter in Arizona?
It's weird that this owner has had so much problem.
I mean, they all have Kip, though. That was the third straight
I
owners.
don't think he's ever had the right ownership group in 20 years.
Their draft picks are baffling.
It's obscene how many picks they have.
I think I told you guys, in the first 3 rounds of the draft, in the next 3 years, at a glance, they got about 20.
He should trade them for a rink. He'd have enough.
Yeah, he
Some
could get a
guy
ring.
who's got no team.
No
At
team.
least now I have 20 draft picks.
Just
start his
build me
own
a
team.
rink.
Yeah.
So in our last block before we got to Bill Armstrong, we discussed the potential of dealing away Easton Cowan.
Mm-hmm.
And the clip of us talking about that has subsequently been put on X.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
Can I read some of the tweets that say,
Yes.
no, what? No chance. No, that would be a bad move. No. Slow news day, is it? No.
This is my nightmare.
F no. So, and we're
no?
multiple no gifts.
It's like one of those things where it's like,
No.
it's talk radio. If you can't discuss
No.
it even,
No, I think you can discuss
we're
it.
discussing it.
But I told you word for word
Yeah.
that Leaf fans were going to get bent out of shape about this.
if you
He
let
is-
Leafs fans be the GM, this team would not be very good. So
Well,
Go back and ask them if they thought moving him would give them a great chance to win the Stanley Cup, and if they won it, would it be worth it?
yeah. I mean,
Okay, so the reason why they say no is because they don't think this is a team that has a chance to win a
in
Stanley Cup.
conclusion,
you don't want to know the things I do
they're
to see
the
the
problem.
Leafs.
It's the children who are wrong.
You don't want to know the things I would do to see the Leafs hoist a Stanley Cup.
No, I
You
genuinely
really don't want to know.
No,
No.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just they haven't developed
Right.
any stars.
So it's a fear factor of
They're conditioned to expect failure.
it's a fear factor of not only losing Cowan as a prospect, but then losing anyway.
Yeah, you're losing
Yes.
the first round, and now you don't have Cowan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they just haven't, outside of the big
Listen,
four,
I'm
they
not,
haven't developed
I'm
the
not
star.
sure Crouse is that guy, but if
Yeah.
there's a guy out there that falls into that
get your
wheelhouse
point. Yeah.
that has term, and again, he's not flying out the window because he's not signing a new contract, you have to look at players like that.
It's funny, though, with those guys. Like, the grass is always greener. It's like Crouse is big and a left winger, and he scores, and, maybe you don't end up loving the player. I always think that when you talk about Pasternak so glowingly all the time, I think if he played here, you'd be like, this guy some nights. I think he'd drive you crazy some nights.
Mid.
So, there's all these guys.
He's got 80
Mid
points.
Pasternak.
Willie's driving a few people nuts since he
Yeah.
signed his contract, but he's still incredibly dangerous, like he showed the other night in St. Louis.
Yeah,
but
no one's good all the
you're
time.
going to live with that with these type of guys.
You're right. You're right.
They're all in many ways kind of the same, where they're not playing in 82 games. And you know what's remarkable too about Auston Matthews and his run lately and where he's heading towards 70, maybe 74 goals, is that we've also had half a dozen games where we've said, oh my God, he's been horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah, I just don't
And
think
it's
you can
just-
play 82 games
It's just the
otherwise.
fact that they're not all going to be a box of chocolates.
No.
For any of them.
No, you're right, though. He is an all-or-nothing bunches guy. He's actually gone 24 games this year, I think. He hasn't scored a goal. So that means his 50 goals, 49 goals, have come in the other, quick math, like 30. So he just, lights it up when he scores, and then some nights, not so much.
There are other factors besides, hey, I just not getting the bounce or anything. Like, there are some games when you just know you just not a very good effort.
Yeah.
Right? You just wasn't trying
Is this
as
a
hard.
Matthews specific thing or a
Matthews, I'm just talking about
Yeah.
Matthews. Like, there's a factor for guys that sometimes they're not getting the bounce,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some games when we've watched Austin and go, he's just got to work harder.
I just don't think you can work.
And that can be said for a lot of players around the league.
But I genuinely don't think, and I wrote about this somewhere along the way, that if you're a top-heavy team and you're counting on these top guys to score for you all the time, this is my theory for why they're bad against good teams.
Yeah.
They're going to take some nights off. If you're going to play them so much every single night, 82 times, and what nights are you going to take off? Well, when it's Columbus or it's Anaheim, or those are the nights they're going to
Ottawa.
hope to shoot a couple in, and all of a sudden they're dogs and they lose to a bad team, and you got nothing else.
And for the record, he is working his ass off the last 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
I've
Defensively, just as
never
good as
seen him
offensively.
better in terms of his commitment and his work ethic. I mean, that totally correlates to the success
Pucks
that he's
going in.
having.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's it'd be interesting to know. We've talked about the chase for 70, and if that becomes a thing, and you and I agree that it shouldn't become a thing, regardless, because you don't want to pour your effort in before playoffs to some round number just for the sake of hitting a round number.
Yeah, especially
69 would still be nice.
where they are in their development of this program.
Yeah.
Right? If it was 2 years ago, 4 years ago,
Right.
and you
You had
could
some personal milestones.
Yes.
And now it's like,
Now
okay,
it's
win or
building the
nobody cares.
confidence, right? Building the confidence to the point where you are now ready to lead this team to a championship. So, all right. Our thanks to Bill Armstrong, general manager of the Arizona Coyotes. Coming up next, Eddie O,
Yes.
former
Good
Toronto Maple
interviews
Leaf,
today.
and now top analyst with TNT. He's the Kraken analyst, but tonight he goes national for TNT with the Edmonton Oilers versus the Boston Bruins. So Eddie O, after the break, still plenty more on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Do not go away. It's the Real Kyper and Bourne Show National Edition. We are live on Sportsnet, Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. And in a few minutes, we'll welcome in Eddie Olczyk. Just give me a chance. Just give me a chance. TNT tonight.
Good game, right? He's got, was it Boston, Edmonton?
Boston, versus the Oilers.
Ooh.
Now,
Doozy.
are we under the impression that Boston is who they were last year and this year, and now they're just going through a little bit of a funk, or maybe a little more concerned about holding on to a top spot in the Atlantic?
Well, as things currently stand, the Boston Bruins are slated to face the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round. And I wouldn't say Leafs fans are as fear-filled as they would have been previous matchups, right? This Bruins team lost a ton of players in the offseason. Were really held together by spectacular goaltending for the first few months. They've been struggling for a little bit here. Just four wins in their last 10 games. They have been passed by Florida for first in the Atlantic Division. And yeah, I think they're a step back from where they've been.
It is kind of remarkable, though, that we thought with the loss of Patrice and Krejci that there was going to be this major drop-off.
Yes.
Like, how can you not?
But,
This guy goes from winning the Selke every year for half his career to gone.
No Bergeron, no Krejci, no Taylor Hall, no Nick Foligno. I mean, there's like 7 players, if you go through the whole list, that were pretty important players that they just didn't replace.
They're not the Bruins that the Leafs have lost to in the first round.
No.
They're
They can
not-
still do that.
Oh, without question. But they're not the
and
same
most
team.
likely will.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say most likely, but there's a pretty good chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough though that the Leafs are playing along at 10 o'clock too, because it'd be a great after option where you watch the Leafs game and put that. So it's a flick back option for you
Yeah.
between the two late games.
Couple of good late ones tonight anyway. Ooh, and we have Eddie O.
Okay, let's welcome him in. He wanted a chance. We're giving him a chance. He says, just give me a chance. It's Eddie O.
Give me a chance.
Borny, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
I'm
Great
here
to
too.
see ya.
Edzo, I'm here too.
I know. Who canceled on you today, Kyper? That's what I want to know. Go pull me out of the bullpen again.
Buddy, you texted me yesterday, and then the red light went on, and I'm like, we're getting Eddie O tomorrow, teeing up the big Oilers Bruins game. He's sitting in his hotel room. Did you finish shopping? Did you go to the mall? Did you ride a roller coaster, Edzo, at the mall?
No, I'm not good. I'm not good on roller coasters, Kyper. I'm soft. I've always been soft. I'm not embarrassed to say that. I don't need a roller coaster. I got enough roller coaster in my life, and let alone go on some ride that probably would get stuck if I ever got on a roller coaster.
Nice. Well,
but good to see you guys. I hope you're well.
yeah,
How's
we are,
everything, all right?
pal. And you're kind of teeing up a game that, if both teams found themselves in a Stanley Cup final, would we be overly surprised? Or, at this point of the season, is it more unlikely? What are your thoughts about the game tonight?
I mean, I think it's got a chance to be a heck of a game. I think it's going to be very entertaining. I think both teams certainly want to be better defensively here recently. I know when the Oilers went on their, what was like a 50-game winning streak, whatever it seemed like, it just seemed like it was forever. They won every game, and they were only giving up, 2 or less, I think, in, more than half the games that they won on that incredible streak. But I think recently here, and just being around both teams this morning, I mean, I think both sides would like to probably be a little bit better defensively here than they have the last couple of games. But if it isn't, it's probably okay for us because we're doing a game down here on TNT in the States. And, could we have a 5-4, 6-4 type of game, 6-5? Yeah, I mean, I could see it. And both teams are going to generate. Both teams are going to give up chances. And whether or not the goaltending cooperates on either side, that will probably be the determining factor. So I think it should be one hell of a game here in Edmonton tonight.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I'm trying to get a sense for what to make of this Oilers team in terms of, Stanley Cup contending legitimacy. They had their terrible streak and then their great streak. They've been kind of on and off. They've added Corey Perry. Not sure how you feel about that addition farther down the lineup, but where do you feel like this team is? It wasn't hard a few weeks ago to be like, maybe they're the best team in the NHL, but maybe that's a bit high praise for them.
Yeah. Well, I would say that, I think for Edmonton, if they are going to make a run, and when you look at what they've been able to do here, why wouldn't they be able to go on a run or a heater? I mean, The West, I think through Vegas, if they could ever get healthy, I mean, I know they lost last night to Nashville, but I still think, and I know Mark Stone got hurt. I didn't see if they're, what the reports were today, but he didn't finish that game last night. And I still think that I believe the West still goes through Vegas, but you could make a case for Vancouver. You could make a case for Winnipeg. You could certainly make a case for Edmonton, Dallas, right? I mean, Dallas is probably going to do something on the back end and try to bolster up their defense a little bit. And getting back to Edmonton, Borny, I would wonder, and I guess I would ask you guys, would it be fair to say that they might be in the market for, I don't know, maybe another top 6 forward if they can somehow, figure that out when it comes to the gymnastics of the salary cap? Like, I think, to me, if you can push down the depth or push down players maybe into their depth, which is probably one of the biggest question marks that they have on the back or up front on their bottom 6, if you can add another guy like, a top 6 guy, then all of a sudden it'd be like now they can play with anybody and not have to count on just Connor and Leon and we know what Hyman brings, and when Kane is really playing, like, he's such an effective player. So long-winded, I would say that, why can't they? It seems like the defense is playing the best that they've played in a long, long time. And yes, you have to give Coach Knobloch a lot of credit, but I don't think you can underestimate the impact that Paul Coffey has had on this blue line and these guys, and in getting them to really buy in. And had a great conversation with Koff today, and I think he believes in challenging guys, but I think he really feels there's a healthy competitive balance there, and the guys push one another, and I think it's showing up here. And when you look at Ekholm and Nurse, really those guys are kind of the glue guys on their back end. And when those guys are playing well, it seems like the Oilers play well. And, you probably camouflage a lot of deficiencies that you might have is when you can really play well without the puck. And I think that's one thing that this team has been able to prove, is that they can win low-scoring games, and they're better defensively than maybe everybody thought they were earlier in the season, and the numbers probably bear that out.
Were you able to get a smile out of Koff at all, or just a chuckle or something that
is he a serious guy?
He showed that he's enjoying himself?
Oh, he is. Anytime I'm around him, I'm always smiling, because he's smiling and he's laughing and talking about the old days and him standing behind the bench. And look at, he's been around this team for a while, right? Whatever the role was for him as an advisor or whatever it was, but I think he's got obviously tremendous respect from everybody inside that room. But I think that's probably helped him in this position where he's had relationships with a lot of guys. And, but I think he's loving it. He is. I mean, I just feel, feel the passion and feel the ability to be able to help make a difference. And, the one thing he told myself and Johnny Forsland and Jackie Redmond this morning when we had our little greet with Koff was Eddie, like, hey, look, mistakes are going to happen, right? Like, you're a defenseman and you're going to make mistakes and the puck's going to end up in your back of your net. But, it's almost like a reliever. And these are my words, not his, but it's almost like a reliever in baseball. It's like, look, you're going to give up one in the bottom of the ninth and you're going to lose the game, or you're going to give up a game-tying run. Okay, well, what's your next shift? What's your next pitch? What's your next inning? And I think when you have that, obviously the resume of Paul Coffey, but then also the ability to be able to let your defenseman know and just say, hey, look at, you're going to make a mistake. It's okay, but we're going to learn from it. So I think he's loving it, Kyper. I really do.
Yeah.
He's obviously he's done a really, really good job with the core guys that they have on this team, and get a chance to really help mold these guys and look at who is better offensively and be able to see and read and be in every situation than a guy like Paul Coffey. So I'm happy for him, and he's doing a great job.
No question. We're talking to Eddie Olczyk, Stanley Cup champion, top hockey analyst in Edmonton, teeing up the Bruins and the Oilers on TNT. Edzo, we were having a conversation on how wide open we think this season is for a potential Stanley Cup win. And, we just watched Vancouver lose 3 games in a row, I think, for the first time all season. We're seeing Boston lose, 4 out of 5. And we're just wondering how active, if it's as wide open as we might think, will be the trade deadline come March 8th.
Yeah, I think it is wide open. I mean, I would say in the Eastern Conference that, to me, without hesitation, is the Florida Panthers. Like, they just are a machine right now, and they've got it going on. I saw them. I don't even know what days it is, but I saw them play Pittsburgh recently. That's all I know. And they've got it going on, right? Like, they can play any way you want. And Bob is, obviously the goaltending is very good. They're playing very well defensively. If you want to play a 7-5 game, they'll be more than happy to play that type of game. If you want to play a 2-1, 3-2 type of game, they can play that. And if you want to go ahead and get down and dirty, Kyper and Bourne, they're willing to go ahead and do that too. So to me, I think in the Eastern Conference, barring any injuries or, anything like that, I don't know what you guys think, but I think it is the Florida Panthers right now and everybody else. And it'll be interesting to do what the Rangers did. I did the Rangers-Islanders game, the Stadium Series at MetLife on Sunday. And, when you look at Panarin and Zibanejad and Kreider and Fox on the back end, it looks like Shesterkin has kind of found his game. I would look at the Rangers, I think, being very active because I still think that they need some help at the center ice position and, maybe another D-man on the back end. There's no reason why the Rangers can't, to make another run. So I look at those two teams and go, would I be surprised if either one of them is in the Cup final? No, I would not. But I think it is about matchups. It is about staying healthy, and maybe who's the team that steps up and makes a big move at the deadline, and all of a sudden the New Jersey Devils acquire Jacob Markstrom, or some kind of a move like that, where all of a sudden a team gets in, and you sit there and go, yeah, like you got to play who you got to play, but that's a much different team if you can add a huge piece. So I would say it's the Florida Panthers and everybody else right now in the East.
Yeah, the Markstrom and Devils thing is really looming. So that Devils team seems like there's a lot there for their lack of success. The team going up against the Oilers in your game tonight, Boston. You didn't mention there the Leafs, looking at them going, God, are we going to draw the Bruins as a first-round opponent yet again? They didn't fall off quite as much as we thought they would to start the season, kind of struggling a bit more of late. Where do you slot them in compared to the previous version of the Bruins, which had 136 points or whatever it was last year?
Yeah. I mean, I heard you guys talking, just with the losses that they had. You're not going to, you're going to take a hit in every aspect of your team as when you lose forget the leadership and the all-worldness of Patrice Bergeron, but, David Krejci coming back and be able to make plays through the middle of the ice. And you're probably, you're playing guys probably more than you should in certain spots, and guys are elevated into roles, and, you make some moves, you bring some guys in, and, look at it. Is Donnie Sweeney and Cam Neely, are they, would they like to add, a piece or two for, yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt, but, I think when you look at the goaltending there, that's the one thing you could really lean on, Barney. And like the Bruins, I think they're very comfortable in playing in those lower scoring games. Mm-hmm. But, do they have enough help there with Marchand and Pasternak and, with Charlie McAvoy on the back end? So, can they defend as well as they've done in the past? Yeah, they've been going through a tough time here, but, I think anytime that the Bruins get in, I still think that they would be they're going to be a tough out just because of the guys in goal and, the difference makers that they do have. And, maybe you just find different ways to win, and you don't have to, Patrice Bergeron wasn't going to be there forever, and Krejci, being there and then leaving and then eventually coming back. So, I like the Bruins team, and it'll be interesting to see, what they do with guys that they have are unrestricted, and then what they do, as far as cap space and everything else. Lindholm is not here. He is not. That was he got hurt in their last game. So that's obviously a big void for them, right now, because, I don't think he's played as well as he did last year or when he came the year prior at the trade deadline. But if you can, if you can run out Lindholm on one set of D and then have McAvoy come out. I mean, they're in a pretty good spot when it comes to the guys on the back end. So yeah, there's some holes, but every team has holes, and can you just be able to plug them enough to give yourself a chance to win around and move on? So it'll be interesting to see how the Bruins play down the stretch and then into the trade deadline and then obviously in the playoffs.
Eddie, you got tonight Connor McDavid, so plenty of greatness in your hockey game tonight. Just recently with another back-to-back hat trick for Auston Matthews. It seemed just prior to that he was kind of on the outside looking in when you thought about an MVP type of year.
Not anymore, Kyper. Not anymore.
Right there with Nate and Connor Kucherov.
And Kucherov, yeah, 100%. 100%. Look, if this guy, that being obviously Auston Matthews, if he scores 70, you'd be hard pressed not to give him the MVP. I don't, look at when's the last time we had one? Early 90s?
Yeah, I think 93 or something like that. It's been a long time.
Yeah. McGillney.
Regardless of what Nate and Connor end up, like, would they have to kind of pull back a little bit here for you, or just the number 70 wins?
Yeah, look at those three guys. I mean, look, we know what Connor is. We obviously we know that. I mean, he's the greatest right now. But guys are having unbelievable seasons in Kucherov, right? I mean, Kucherov's got 33, 34, whatever the number is, points ahead of, I think it's Braden Point the last time I checked. But I mean, that is like, that's large without a doubt. And McKinnon is obviously, he's played on a whole nother level and we know how great he is. But when you look at the year, and if you took Auston Matthews out of the lineup for the Toronto Maple Leafs, would they be in the playoffs?
They would not.
I would argue that they would be a bubble team.
Yeah.
25% of the goals.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, I guess you could maybe argue that, you could probably argue that with obviously Kucherov. You could argue that obviously with Connor, but you still have Leon. And you could argue that with McKinnon because you still have Rantanen and Makar. So I think the team that would take the biggest hit out of those four guys we're talking about would be the Leafs. Now that's just my opinion. And when you start talking about 70 goal scorers in the history of the game.
Handful.
I mean, you're talking Espo, you're talking Gretz, you're talking Mario, you're talking Solani, you're talking Brett Hull 3 different times. Right? I mean, McGillney, like Solani, like these are, it doesn't happen. So if you get 70, I would, like, if I had a vote and he gets 70 goals, all due respect to everybody else, but look at, I would give it to Auston Matthews if he scores 70 goals because we don't see this very often. Like I guess we just expect him to score 70 goals. Well, he's had an unbelievable, and I hope he gets his 50th and at home in front of his family and friends, and in Arizona and what have you. But I don't know what you guys think, but I think if he gets 70, he would have my vote. And all due respect to everybody else in the years that they have.
For sure. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. We were having a conversation in our first hour about trying to get some help for the Leafs top guys at the trade deadline here, and they don't have a ton of assets. One thing they do have is this Easton Cowan, who is, Sam McKee says he's the best player in the OHL this year. He's been spectacular for them. Where do you sit on the idea of trading someone who looks like a surefire good NHLer now to get someone for, a maybe team like the Leafs, saying that maybe they're the 10th best team in the league? Do you think it's worth the risk to trade a player, a young potential star, to get help for a guy like Matthews now?
Yes. Because there are no guarantees. I think there are no guarantees, right? I mean, they're expected to, at least, I mean, again, on the outside looking in, I don't know what Channy or Trees or anybody, on the inside, what's the end game here, but I'm sure for the fan base, it's like this isn't about, this isn't about next year. I mean, or 2 years from now. Like, it's like, okay, the sand in the hourglass is dwindling here, and if we can add, whomever that might be, and we think that we can get to the conference finals, and then you never know from there. So, all teams are built differently, and everybody has different philosophies. But if you got a chance, you can bolster up the team. I would say let's go for it.
2 names I'll give you: Joe Nieuwendyk.
Is he available?
Iginla.
Sorry. What about them? Deadline moves?
Joe Nieuwendyk moves from Calgary to Dallas. They win the Stanley Cup. Iginla goes in, has a Hall of Fame career in Calgary. No one regretted that trade.
I like that. That works. You happy with that, Edzo?
Remember that one, Edzo?
Hey, yeah, that's right in our wheelhouse, Kipper. That is, those guys are right,
Yep.
right smack dab in our era. And look at for me, I would. You'd be all in, like you push your chips all in. Like it's really interesting, like when you think about it. But like I know Pittsburgh did not come up here, but boy, oh boy, like somebody's going to get Jay Gensel, and this guy's numbers in the playoffs are just like Bourne. Like his numbers in the playoffs are just like, I mean, they're Hall of Fame. Like that's fact. Like when you look at what he's done in the playoffs, and he can get healthy again and whatever, like. And he's going to get paid. He's going to get fresh powder next year, and rightfully so. And, is he going to be 9+? Is he going to be 10 million? I have no idea. I know he's a little bit older, obviously, than Willie Nylander, but like he's proven that he is a big time player and super intelligent, IQ off the charts. And be really interesting to see what Kyle Dubas does in Pittsburgh, because I think moving forward, because they're a bubble team. They have been a bubble team. If they don't make it again, they're not making the playoffs next year either.
Mm-hmm.
So I think anything is on the table in Pittsburgh. I mean, that's the way I would handle it. I think that's the way that you have to look at it and go, hey, we don't make it again. Like, look, they haven't won a round since what, 18?
It's been a while now. Yeah, it's true.
They haven't got past the first round, I think, since 18. So
wow.
My quick math tells me that's a lot of playoffs. This is a run and a half here where they're not used to this in Pittsburgh. So where does Gensel end up, and what happens in Pittsburgh moving forward if they don't make the playoffs for the second straight year?
Okay, Edzo, one more, and I'm going to let you go because I know you got a lot of prep work for Boston Oilers tonight for TNT, and that is the Ovi question, because he scored 2 last night. He's got 18, but 8 of them in the last 8 games. So writing off Ovi a little quick for some.
Right, say that again, Kipper.
Ovi, 2 goals last night. He's got 16, but 8 of them in the last 8 games. And I'm just wondering if some were ready to write this guy off.
No, I don't think so. I mean, why? I mean, every great player, every goal scorer goes through stretches where it's not happening, right? And think about it. He plays every power play. He plays probably 85% of every power play. He's going to get his looks, and he's on a heater now, and he's going to go on another heater before the end of the year, and then he's going to go on one next year. It's just the way that it is. I mean, so. Yeah, where there's some people thinking, like he's going to only get maybe 12 this year, and he might only get 15 next year, and he's still going to be, 30 shy of Gretz or whatever the number is. Like this guy's a goal scorer, and look at what's going to go is the body and the feet before the hands do.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. Like that's just the reality of it. That's what goes for all the great goal scorers. Like. Your hands are always going to be there, and you're always going to be able to score. It's not whether or not you can just get there enough, and get there is like you used to. But for Ovi, he's fine. He's fine.
I know we're letting him go. I just want to fill you in, Edzo. He's actually been on the ice for 96.1% of the Capitals' power play time. 96.1, not a joke.
Okay, well, is that 96% Canadian? I was doing the U.S. I was doing the U.S. equivalent.
Yeah, that's with the exchange rate. Yeah.
So what's the order again, Enzo, that disappear at the end of your career? Your hands, your feet, your legs, or your wife?
No. Your hands are the last thing to go.
Hands, okay. And the
I mean,
wife?
for you, it was your looks.
You're a good man, Enzo. Thanks for doing this.
Love you guys.
Thanks, Enzo. Appreciate it.
Eddie Olczyk,
What a
former
guy.
teammate,
Yeah.
fun guy.
Yeah. No kidding.
It was awesome. I was just the Ovi thing. I was watching.
last 8.
You know,
Really?
I watched the end of the Penguins Islanders last night, and we go straight to Ken Reed and Ivanka, and I'm watching that. And they're showing the highlights, and just everyone that goes in, I'm like, oh.
Just wincing at
I
Ovi
was like,
goals.
how many are we away now? It's like 56 away. I'm like, oh,
I know the number's getting
56.
big.
Jesus.
There were some games you watched this year you would never have thought 8 goals in 8 games would ever be in
Possible. Yeah.
in a formula moving forward in his career.
You know,
Like he's been slow at times,
Yeah.
but could still shoot it in the net.
Well, and that's the thing is that shot. Like the other day, he scores one off the faceoff, which he scored. Everyone talks about his one-timer.
Yeah.
His off the faceoff wrist shot goals. He's got to have, I don't know, at least 70 of
Where
them.
he just catches it in traffic, and it's in the back of the
in
net before
traffic. And you're like,
anyone
yo, how
knows-
did he even get that off?
Yeah.
And it's the goalie's still looking through traffic.
Yeah.
So he's going to finish with what? 27 goals, 30 goals.
Yeah.
Is that
Ugh.
that's 16?
I mean, this show is just open. Are you on board with rooting against over here?
I don't know. I want to cheer for him. Yeah, I'm going to cheer for him.
Ah.
I am.
All right.
Like, politics aside,
Yeah, it's not even.
come on. It's an amazing achievement of what he's done over the course of his career. Come on.
I'll put off ice politics aside, but like as a born and bred Canadian, like I don't want I don't want a Russian guy to have it. It's like they're our biggest rival. It's always been the case. Like I've never liked Ovi for that reason. Since we killed him in the World Juniors, he was wearing that tinted visor. Never liked him, so I want him to have it. I want Gretzky to have it. That's what it
I'm
is.
okay with that. People
Yeah.
can cheer. People can cheer against them. It's good, right? Okay, let's take a quick break. Or are we going to go to
Let's
Let's take a
game
break.
time?
Let's take a break.
Okay.
Yeah. Take a
All
quick
right.
break. Yeah.
You okay?
JB producing the show today. I
Yeah,
like it.
thanks.
Taking charge. All right,
Appreciate
JB says we're taking a break, and when we return, we're back with more Real Kyper and Bourne. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Just going to break. You remind me of my wife.
Wow. I don't
JB.
even know what to do with that.
No. Let me finish because she's like, you don't check your text,
Oh, yeah.
right? And I'm like, well, like I do, but
Yeah.
when it's convenient,
Intermittently.
right?
Yeah.
And my apologies to you because as we went towards break, I didn't check any text messages, and you sent me one that said, "Go to break. My nose is bleeding."
Yeah.
I need to get it cauterized. Like I need to go do the thing where they actually like burn it in there. Because it's a daily thing. I don't have the Jake McCabe going right now. I got it out. I think I got it stopped just in time.
Well,
but I may bleed at some point.
I'm
during
glad
the
you
show.
pulled the tissue out of your nose right before we went back on air, or else someone's going to think I punched you in the nose.
And actually, we could have done a nice bit there. But yes, I am at risk at all times of having a bleeding nose.
So it must have
stay
been
tuned.
my 3rd or 4th year at Sportsnet, and I'm on the desk, and I'm working with Bill Waters, and his nose starts bleeding, and but like bleeding.
Yeah.
And I could see from a monitor the camera guy kind of shake a little bit to get him off the air, like get the look off the air, and the whole studio was kind of in a bit of a panic.
Well, and that's the thing is I've actually said this to my wife because it happens so frequently. I was like, I don't know what'll happen, but I think I'm just going to sit here like McCabe. I'm going to have one of those big plugs in my nose, and you're all just going to deal with it. It's a hockey show.
And we're still on the air. They just won't show him. And then all of a sudden, like, there's camera people and producers trying to get him a tissue. But, they're under the desk trying to get him a tissue, and all you could see is, like, the hand. Like, this is like watching the Addams Family. It was like the hand. What do you call that thing?
The thing?
The thing?
Is that what it was?
Thing.
Yeah.
And it was like trying to get him a tissue.
Yeah.
And I'm
I
like,
should be okay. We got to make it through 20 minutes.
so I said, Wilbur, like, are you okay? He goes, Nicky, don't tell anybody this, but I just plucked a few nose hairs right before. And I'm like, Wilbur, I ain't telling a word. Your
Sure.
secret is safe with me.
Until now.
Until national television.
Until 2024.
What's the cutoff? 20 years?
Yeah, no, you've passed the
Yeah.
statute of limitations.
Exactly.
You're good.
Fun times with Bill Waters.
Game time?
Game time.
Game time.
It's game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Now, you know what I'm going through tonight. This is, if there's a Sammy pick of all Sammy picks on game time, I'm going to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Hold on,
and
can I call it?
And the Arizona Coyotes.
Kerfoot goal.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Flex seal.
Flex
He
seal,
has
baby.
8 all year. He does not do a lot of the goals.
He's got 1 in his last 5, so he's hot.
Red hot.
That's red hot for Alex Kerfoot. It doesn't matter if he hadn't scored since he left. Tonight is the night that he scores a goal, and the number for that is not great. Plus 320, but they probably know that they're going to get some action on this because Leaf fans know that there are a few things that former Leafs like to do more than scored against the team. So give me an Alex Kerfoot goal tonight for sure.
Have they not seen the Coyotes this year at all?
No, they haven't.
And then they play them again next Thursday.
Yeah, at home.
Sweet.
So
It's been a decent schedule for them.
For who?
Leafs.
Yeah, they've had a little softer pocket here, for sure.
And 2 more that I like for tonight. The Buffalo Sabres are in Montreal. The Buffalo Sabres should not be favored by minus 150 over anybody. Habs on home ice. Give me the Habs plus 125. And the last one is the game that's on Sportsnet 1 tonight with the Edmonton Oilers and the Boston Bruins. Oilers are pretty big favorites, minus 135. Boston coming in there plus 115. They've been on a bit of a tough stretch for them. But I don't mind the value on one of the best teams in the league at plus 115 heading in to take on the Oilers. And that was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Beautiful.
There you go.
All right.
All right. So
Pittsburgh.
pick up a little bit of the conversation we had earlier with Edzo. The Pittsburgh Penguins, as we know, heading a little south this season.
Everything's great.
Kyle Dubas met the media. And we've got a little sound of that.
What do you want first? About Gensel?
No, I want us a little first here.
Okay.
Let's all put our loafers on in Kyle Dubas' shoes and ask us, okay, why do I want to speak to the media today? And your answer is?
Noise. Quiet the noise.
Quiet the noise.
Quiet the noise.
See, I'm the opposite. You just made it louder.
Yeah, that is like putting out a fire with kerosene.
Yeah. Like, I don't understand
That's the logic, though, right? Like
why you would go and meet the media.
And he did it so little here in his final year.
But isn't this fine? Like, don't we want this more from general managers to come out and talk about their teams? And,
Yeah, selfishly.
yeah,
so we
selfishly,
could
100%.
then grab what we can and then beat them over the head with it.
It's an entertainment product, after all.
Did you?
Okay. Nobody has an answer then why Kyle Dubas
I don't have an
would want
obvious
to go
answer.
lose 4 out of 5 and then meet the media.
No.
Okay, because I can't figure it out.
I think last night was tough. I think, they lose a game to a team that's directly in front of them in the standings where they have a chance to, win a game in regulation. Well, they didn't have the chance to win the game in regulation, but if you beat them in regulation last night, you get a little closer to a playoff spot. You can kind of sell some hope a little bit more.
That's in Pittsburgh last night.
And they come back, make a valiant effort after we were talking about how they were done, and they come back, score 2 goals, they lose in overtime. I just think that the way that team is constituted, he took, this offseason was a win now offseason for them, right? Where it's like you think about all the moves they made. It was a win now, we're going to win.
They traded for Erik Karlsson.
Yeah, they signed Ryan Graves to that long contract.
Yeah, that's
they
right,
bring in,
too,
They bring in Riley Smith. They signed
Achari, Cookie.
Yeah, they bring in they re-signed Tristan Jarry to that long deal. I think there's just a lot of win now moves, and you're not winning now. And I think last night was a big spot.
Okay, so now we've got our answer. Why he met the media?
To me, that's why.
Because he needs to backpedal.
I 100% think so.
Backpedal on those moves?
Yeah.
Or just justify what's happening?
No,
or
there's no
frame it his
justifying
way?
it. You're losing.
Yeah.
You're not justifying anything. What you're saying basically is my plan A sucked, and now I've got to come up with a plan B. And
Okay.
the first one was preaching patience, and we're going to try to win now.
Also, I think there is some measure of preparing the fans for what's coming. I think maybe a bit of a decision gets made last night where you're going, if we're not going to be able to win, then we're going to have to sell some guys, and maybe the fan base should know that we're a little hesitant.
Don't talk about playoffs.
Playoffs. They're 8 points out of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Playoffs.
Okay, what do you have for us?
Did you see the report yesterday from our competitor that they're listening on all non-core players? Okay? So that got brought up to him today at the press conference, and this was his answer. I think it's clip 2, Derek.
Yeah, I didn't see the exact verbiage or wording of it. I had another GM mention it to me today or ask me about it clearly. I think we've received a lot of calls on a lot of our players, especially as our team has been in the spot that it's at. My view of it, Rob, has been I feel like out of respect to the group here and what they've accomplished, I'm trying to be as patient as possible and give the group the time, and I've outlined that to them to show that we can really make a push and make a run at it. As we've continued to kind of stay level or drop, we look up today at the standings. It's a daunting task. Is the group capable of it? Yes, I think we've shown this year that we are, but we're running out of time to show that we can do it consistently. So as we've had, coming out of the All-Star break, we lose 2 or 3. Last week is the same. We lose 2 or 3. The calls from teams that are these are really good players here. So teams are calling more and more, asking, are they going to be available? And so it's my job to listen to it. But I haven't. There's been no discussion about these guys are and these guys aren't available. A lot of teams are just calling and asking about a litany of our players.
So
why aren't they all just available? Free Sid. Just do it all. You're not going anywhere.
Free Sid. I love it.
You're done.
Like, did he give us the impression that he's still going to be a little patient here? Is that what you got out of that?
Well, I think he is paying lip service to those players while also saying, kind of being a carnival barker and drumming up business here, everyone's available,
You've had 53 games. You are who you are after 53 games.
Absolutely.
So where do you think you're going to wait a little longer?
They have a couple games in hand on the teams they're chasing. If they won them both, then all of a sudden they were 4 points out of a playoff spot. Could they sneak in and do what Florida did last year? They have enough playoff experience. Are they talking themselves into, not giving up on a team that has playoff experience?
Verbiage or wording of it.
I don't want to accuse our good friend Kyle of fibbing. Okay?
Okay.
But who outside, the core is Sidney, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, Erik Karlsson, I guess. Erik Karlsson, I guess he's part of the core.
Oh, yeah.
Just because of...
I don't even know what core means.
No, but that's what he said. But, who outside of that would people be kicking down the door for outside of Gensel, I guess? Is it Brian Rust, Ricard Raquel at $5 million, Riley Smith at $5 million, Jeff Carter at $3 million, Lars Eller,
He
Drew
says they're
O'Connor.
good players here. They're good players here, he says.
Well, then why aren't they winning? Jansen Harkins, I look at this cat-friendly page and I'm like,
We suck.
Who are the guys that people are kicking down the door for?
Ricard Raquel, jeez.
There would be a
Awful
number of teams that would
contracts.
want Malkin and Letang at a song,
Well, yeah.
right?
Well, you're not suggesting that would be possible.
Anything's possible if you have the right conversation with them. And I don't understand for 1 second. And again, Malkin was not Kyle's signing, and Letang was not his signing.
Nor was Raquel. Nor was...
So you can go back and say, hey, I appreciate what Ron Hextall and Brian Burke were trying to do, but this is not my deal, and I need you to lift.
Forget who it is.
No moves and trade lists.
I think it's Brian Burke who actually says that he would never go to someone who had a no trade and ask them unless someone else signed it.
Yeah.
He was a new GM, and then he'd have that conversation. So I think, Kyle would be able to.
What was
have
the other
that
one?
chat.
Did he mention?
Well, it's the Gensel thing where
Well,
he
he
basically said he's traded.
He has.
Trading him.
You want to hear the Gensel clip?
Yeah.
That's my reading into it.
We have clip 1, please, Derek, on Gensel.
I understand how valuable he's been as a teammate, person in the community, contributor to helping the team win Stanley Cup and so on and so forth. So it's important, but at the same time, we have to take stock of where we're at and be realistic about the fact that one of the issues we have is we need to get younger, and we have a lot of guys in their 30s signed. Some of them are some of the best players in the history of the franchise, and it's tough with Jake, as I've said to him, because he's an excellent player and playing at an elite level. But we have to find a way to continue to have those solid veteran guys, but also continue to get younger at the same time.
Oh my God!
Word salad.
Are you kidding me?
He said, "Be realistic about where we are, and
We need to get younger.
we need to get
This is the guy that went out and got Carlson 7 months ago.
Hell, he
This is the
signed.
guy that went and got Riley Smith,
How about Achari?
Achari.
Achari, the heavy feet.
And then you got the gall to come 7 months later and say, we need to get younger now? Seriously?
Of it.
We're all looking for the guy who did this.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes no sense.
Well, yeah. No, it doesn't.
Makes no sense.
Well, he is backpedaling. You mentioned that this may be a bit of a backpedal, and I think that's what's happening. He talked about Gensel playing at an elite level right now. He's been a great contributor here. That's exactly the sound. So someone's going to get Gensel. So we had Edzo on before, and he talked about Gensel's playoff numbers.
Yeah.
He's a stud.
Oh, my God, yeah. So in regular season games, he's a .93 points per game. He's a even point per game. 58 playoff games. Are you looking it up? 58 playoff games, 58 playoff points, 38 playoff goals. So he's a better playoff performer than regular season performer. And way above in terms of goals per game.
So how are you going to get younger? Because last time we checked, Pittsburgh doesn't actually have a ton of stock, right? They're not Arizona loaded up with a gazillion draft picks here.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to do this?
They don't have a
And
lot
you
of
only
assets.
got, what?
They're old. They're missing playoffs.
6 years on your contract? 7?
Sam and I before the show were like, you know what he should do is he should go back in time and not run his mouth in his press conference and just be, not get fired from his old job. Because this job is harder, the one he has in Pittsburgh, considerably.
Oh, it's
Picking up Erik Karlsson was asinine.
It was stupid from the second it happened.
Yeah, we all and
before
everyone
that.
knew it. It was pretty universal. I was like, wow, that was aggressive. But some people were excited about it because they didn't give up that much. But it's like, yeah, but look what you got.
You got to pay him 10 schmil for.
It's a fascinating what if.
If he were still the GM. If he didn't say anything.
If that Monday press conference doesn't happen.
Die to find out
Do you think
what Sid would have thought of that press conference today.
So Erik Karlsson is owed $10 million from the Penguins.
What do you think? What do you think Sid's
Per year.
thinking right now, listening to this, going like, I'm on board. Yeah, just get younger.
He's
I'm
still
on board,
young
and
enough.
I charge $15 an hour.
You know what he's
for
feeling?
babysitting.
He's like, the Mile House City's starting to sound a lot better. I'm gonna go play with my Cole Harbor buddy Nathan McKinnon. Free him. Just like that's the thing about this. We're all dancing around the retool. This is gonna be scorched earth very soon.
No.
What?
Well, I just say they're not going to trade Sid. They're not that scorched earth.
But like, how old Sid? This is barreling
36,
towards. This is
30 goals
barreling
in 50
towards
games.
scorched earth. So at this point, you should be listening. Not just the core players. Every single person on that team should be in play, including Sid. Like
you need Sid's permission to get out of bed in the morning if you're the GM of the Penguins, let alone trade him.
But you don't think Sid? They're like, hey, we want to go to Colorado. He's like, no. He's gonna say no.
I do think
You do?
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't. this
don't
is
wanna be
Sid's
around anymore.
call, I would think Kyle would be avoiding Sid in the hallways,
Yeah.
by the arena.
Well-
Yeah.
I hope he's not upstairs near the offices because I need a full report where he is because I'm on the other side of the building.
Like Ace Ventura walking by Mr. Shikadance with a palm frond, just sliding by Sid.
It's a good thing that it's like well documented how superstitious Sid is, and like you've seen his like exact walk in every day. He walks in the exact same way. So just avoid that.
Yeah.
They're good.
You're fine.
What does Sid want to do?
Mm.
I'm not sure he knows yet.
Are they got the chutzpah, the temerity to ask him that in Pittsburgh?
I would be a lot closer to wanting to leave and have one more crack at winning a cup at the level that I can still play at than participate in what Kyle Dubas suggested today.
4 of the next 5 games the Penguins have are against non-playoff teams. They got the Canadians, the Kraken, the Flames. I put the Flyers in there. I think they're a non-playoff team.
Mm.
You know, can they run together some wins and then try to make playoffs? Maybe even add?
This is like one proud organization too.
Mm.
Really, like
Well, and
we just
Dubas
watched.
is looking to win what happened last season. He wants to show that he got the better hand of how it all played out, right?
Can I tell you, from a Leaf fan perspective, we don't get a lot of wins in this world. We truly don't. Like, it's, you know, we've been beaten down our whole lives with everything. This is a really, really great outcome for Leaf fans. It is.
Nothing tastes more
It is.
delicious than
It is.
Schadenfreude.
It is.
So he
Like,
leaves the
because-
cupboards bare here in Toronto,
Yes.
and then he goes and basically does the same thing in
We
Pittsburgh.
suck. We got to get younger. And then, but after we trade for Eric Carl, like it's just, I'm really thrilled that he didn't go there and they just got sick and they're great. They just stink, and a lot of the reason they stink is because of him. So there,
Great.
and that's good. It's a win for Leaf fans everywhere, which is rare. So enjoy it.
Wow, your bar is so low.
I know
It is
it's
truly.
pathetic.
Yeah.
It's pathetic how low it is.
I know who I am, though.
Buddy, I know who I am. Anyways, that was a solid 25-minute conversation with
Yeah.
the Penguins.
All right, what else have we got?
We got a lot of stuff. So
I
the
don't know.
Vancouver Canucks finally lose a match, or 3 in a row for the first time all season. Archdeep Baines played his first NHL game, which is very cool.
I didn't watch the whole game, but what I saw, man, he can
Some
move.
impact.
Yeah,
He can move. He's hard on a forecheck.
created some good things
Battles
for them.
against the wall.
Really nice story from Surrey.
Awesome.
Large South Asian population there. He's representative of that community, so very cool.
And it's like, I mean, it works out perfectly. It's on like the mentor father.
Yeah, his dad's there.
It's just like, that's incredible.
It
You'd
was
love it.
Really,
And he
cool.
set up Bluger. He could have had 2 NHL assists in his first game. He set up Bluger in the sweet spot twice, and he just pounded it into the blocker. So
Auston Matthews becomes the first player to 50 goals this year.
absolutely, that is a lock.
in Arizona. You mentioned earlier in the show, it's not always 1,000%, right? You can't have your pedal down to the floor, but he'll have the pedal down tonight, I think. I would expect.
Yeah, it's not often that you're. Imagine being so good at hockey that you are a large favorite to score a goal in an NHL game.
3 tonight.
I don't know. They're playing in one of those 3/4 sized rinks, aren't they? An NTR or whatever they call it.
Just like that, 2 hours gone on the Real Kyper and Bourne show.
Didn't bleed on the air. Didn't bleed on the air.
Our thanks to Eddie Olczyk, who gets ready for the Oilers and the Bruins tonight. Bill Armstrong, general manager of Arizona Coyotes, in our first hour. We thank him as well. And we thank you the most for joining us wherever you're watching and listening. If you get a chance, give us a rating and a review. We'd love to hear from you. Get your thoughts on Sammy and JB. I'm off limits.
Fair.
Have a great night, everybody.